Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahabushai, Bahasham, Barakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure unto the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'm going to start it off in Amos chapter 8, verses 11 to 13. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, though those things are coming, but of hearing the words of Yahweh, the famine of the word, where the men of the Lord are no longer going to be on the highways and byways preaching this word, and video epistles like this are no longer going to be online. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yahweh, and shall not find it. And that's just how detrimental the famine of the word is going to be, unless Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai is really dealing with you. And at that, you have to be an Israelite, so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American. And then on top of that, one of the elect. If Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai doesn't, bring you across the man of the Lord in that day, it's game over for you. And as it says, and in that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst spiritually, because all hell is broken loose during Jacob's trouble, and they won't have that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be the stability to get them through it, as it says in Isaiah 33 and 6. And then as it says also in 2 Esdras chapter 9, for you taking this time of liberty when the word was freely available as a joke, you're going to know it after death by pain, being judged by one of these calamities during Jacob's trouble. But I opened up the video with these verses to preface this article from the northstar.com titled, Israeli Billionaire Goes on American Television to say the First Amendment should end and we should control all social media platforms. Who is we in this conversation? And that we is Esau Edom, so-called white man, specifically of the tribe of Amalek, who are posing as the children of Israel right now. The Ishes, the Jays, the Little Hats, whatever you want to call them, and who also own all these major, mainstream media networks. And then you've got people like Larry Ellis, I think that's his name, the guy who runs Oracle. He just got, control of, TikTok. And, they're starting to, do censorship on that in regards to the Jays. And censorship is just going to continue in regards to, the Amalekites, because them as well as Esau Edom are getting exposed, through, social media, alternative media, and it's even starting to leak into the mainstream. Esau is losing the narrative. And what really kicked this off? The men of the Lord out on the highways and byways preaching this word, and again, putting up video epistles like this, going into the scriptures and showing who this devil is and what he would be doing in these last days and what his judgment ultimately will be. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, which it has been, through the unicorn or the internet, which you can read further about in Psalms chapter 19. You've got, brothers in GMS in Canada, in the Americas, South America, Europe, all the way in Korea and Japan. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. We're seeing all these end times prophecies quickly coming to their fulfillment. And these elites of the Edomites, who are primarily Amalekites, see the writing on the wall as well. So as it says in Revelation 12, verse 12, that devil is about to come down in great wrath because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And a major aspect of that is bringing about the famine of the word, making the men of the Lord offenders for the word, labeling them as anti-simulationists, domestic teas, black identity extremists, enemies of the state, what have you. Which I'll go here. This is Isaiah 29. I'm going to start at verse 18. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness, the spiritual eyes and ears of the elect of the nation of Israel being opened and coming back to their power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, which happened through the preaching of the prophets. The meek also shall increase their joy in Yahweh, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel, because we know that we're not just, niggers, spics, tontos, black, African American, Mexican. We're actually Yasharallah, the princes of the power. Verse 20, for the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, which is taking place right now spiritually, with the terrible one being brought to naught by being exposed through the scriptures. And then that physical part is going to take place when Yahushai, the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, makes his second coming and takes this devil out of power forcefully. But here's the point, verse 21, that make a man an offender for a word, hate speech, anti-simulationism, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. And this is just another example of a snare being laid for them that reprove in the gates. Isaiah 13, go and shake your hand in the gates of the nobles, the men of the Lord, exposing these devils and their elites for who they are. And at the top of that list is Amalek. But it reads, I truly think the 1948ers fully believe they control the United States of America, because they do. Hey, in the book of Numbers, Amalek is the first of the nations. He's at the head right now, and he's the top tribe of Esau, Edom. Hence, why when you look at all these different power structures, from government to business, who's at the head? Amalekite. But I'm going to just play this clip. This is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes. And this Amalekite's name is Shlomo Kramer. A 1948er tech billionaire went on CNBC and said the United States needs to limit the First Amendment and take control of social media platforms to control what people can say. I watched the clip. It's not subtle. It's not nuanced. It's a man speaking on American television as if American freedoms are his to edit. And, America is bought and paid for by Amalek. Just look at, Nero 47. He's the biggest prostitute president we've ever had in, the history of this country. But again, fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it, and quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. We need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online, and take control over what they are saying based on that ranking.
The government.
The government should
control the social media.
Hey, straight to the point. We need to take away, First Amendment protections to, protect First Amendment protections. Devil speaking with a forked tongue as he usually does. But this is ultimately because Esau, Edom, especially Amalek, is feeling the heat from the prophets preaching this spiritual fire at him. As it says in Jeremiah 5, verse 14, I will make this word fire in thy mouth, and these people as wood. But let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Let's start at verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, which, has already happened when the nation of Israel fell away, from the land and from their identities, first with the northern kingdom, going into the Assyrian captivity, then eventually coming over to the Americas, or Arsareth, as it's called in 2nd Ezra 13. And then you had those European Edomite colonizers take over the land and put them in subjection. And then the southern kingdom, the so-called Negroes who, fled Jerusalem after 70 AD. A lot went into West Africa. A lot went into Europe. You had the Dark Ages. Then you had the Renaissance, where Esau came back into power. Then you had the transatlantic slave trade, where a lot of our people of the Southern Kingdom were brought to our brothers, the so-called Latinos and Native Americans of the Northern Kingdom, over in the Americas. But now we're in the time where the dry bones in that valley in Ezekiel 37 have had the flesh and the sinew and the skin put on them and the breath of life, this full understanding back in them. Except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, which sin is the transgression of the law, and his whole society, especially in the West, is based off of breaking the laws, statutes, and commandments, and perdition goes into destruction. Look at Esau Edom's track record. How did he gain everything? Through his blessing the sword, through grape, robbery, and murder. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he is the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, shewing himself that he is the Most High. You had that Renaissance art where they painted over the dark images to make what the Most High and his son and the Israelites and the angels look like Edomites. And now, through his fifth industrial revolution, moving towards this transhumanism digital society, he's trying to make himself, a technological god and discredit the scriptures. You had that devil who's also an Amalekite, Noah Yuval Harari, saying we no longer need, a God, that Jesus is fake news, which, the character Jesus, that white man with blue eyes, is fake news, but Yahushua is the real news. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time, which are in these times right now. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, because Esau was ruling as the Romans in the Roman Empire back then. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Esau had a set time to rule, and now in his final rulership, he's just about reached the ends of it, which is synonymous with him being exposed, the mystery of iniquity being revealed in his time. Verse 8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouthpiece, the prophets, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Yahweh's second coming to take him out of power. But before then, as it said, he shall be revealed and consumed with the spirit of his mouth. Esau being revealed and Amalek being revealed. Hence, why there are talks now from Amalekites to take away the First Amendment, because too much info is coming out on them. But the cat is out of the bag, or Pandora's box has been opened and it won't be shut again. So you can bring about the fame of the word all you want, but you're just further fulfilling prophecy and further fulfilling your downfall. But get a few more. This is Ezekiel 36, verse 5. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which is the Greek way of saying Edom, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. And when you go into the scriptures, into prophecy, the children of Israel would be brought back into the land by the Lord. But how did those Idumeans get the land appointed into their possession? by laying the groundwork with the Balfour Declaration and then further sealing the deal with the 1948 Declaration of Independence after World War II. And you see, they've just been going full bore since then. No peace in the land, which it says in Micah chapter 4 that when the true children of Israel were back in the land, these nations would no longer war with each other. So you Edomites, you Amalekites, don't fit anything dealing with what the true children of Israel would be going through when they were back in the land, but you fit what the Edomites would be doing with the land in prophecy. But now I'm going to close it out in Revelation chapter 2. I'm going to read verses 9 to 10. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, because you're the children of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. And hey, who has these synagogues out here? Amalek. And it says they are the synagogue of Satan. Verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison that ye may be tried. Hey, labeling this truth and the men that preach it as enemies of the state and hate speech, and coming up with laws to criminalize them and throw them into prison. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, which just means a complete amount of tribulation for the brothers, that this is their lot. Be thou faithful unto death. Hey, if that's your lot as well, and I will give thee a crown of life. So these things, the famine of the word and the persecution, are quickly coming down the pipeline. So, hey, now more than ever, hey, have all 10 toes down in this truth. Believing in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai and doing whatever you can to please him so that you can have the strength to endure, these things that are coming our way. And if it's your lot to be a martyr, hey, go out manfully like a soldier of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai so that you can ultimately receive that crown of life, being of that elect number, the first fruits in the kingdom of heaven. But that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere, Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.